Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. And happy Monday to all of you watching. Welcome to the Marketing Monday hosted by the Watertown Oswego SBDC. So, my name's Nicole. I'm kind of coming on and hosting these along with the Watertown SBDC, basically to help small businesses, large businesses, nonprofits increase their marketing knowledge and have the ability to ask questions. So if you're kind of wondering, the format's always the same every Monday, Marketing Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And the general format of the broadcast is there's a 15-minute sort of presentation, for lack of a better word. And this week's topic is Google My Business. And then the next 30 minutes is the ability to ask questions. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook now, you can ask a question. You can leave a comment wherever you're watching this. Just leave the comment. We should be able to see it. Just to make sure, though, that we can see it, especially if you're on Facebook and your profile is a little bit private, you can go to this link and enable StreamYard live stream stuff. And going forward, you should be able to leave comments. No problem. But if you're a little bit more shy, or if you need a little bit more space to, give context or information, you can email the Watertown SBDC at the address on your screen. Just put Marketing Monday in the subject line. We'll know that's what it's for. If you want to stay anonymous, we're happy to keep you anonymous. So without further ado, let's go into today's topic, which is Google My Business. So Google My Business is a pretty popular platform. And if you've ever done a Google search and seen a business come up with a little map pin, then that's a Google My Business listing. Now, those are free for businesses to have. So if someone tries to call you up to sell you access to your Google My Business listing, or tries to sell you advertising for your Google My Business listing, if it makes you feel any better, about twice a week, I get a phone call from someone screaming at me that my Google Business listing is out of date. And let me tell you, if mine's out of date, everyone's is out of date. So you can ignore those calls. Google My Business is completely free for you as the business owner to be able to access and update. But let me make the case why I think you should spend a little bit of time on this. And don't worry, it won't take much time once you get verified and fill it out. So first of all, Google My Business is actually the number one place. I'm going to start at the bottom, which is kind of a weird place to start, but it's the number one place online for business reviews. It's surpassed all of them. It's surpassed Google. It's surpassed Facebook, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Foursquare. So again, this is kind of an older graph. I did see a newer graph. This is what happened last week. I was on the internet somewhere. I saw a newer graph and I was like, oh, that would be great for the SBDC live stream coming up. And I proceeded to save it someplace weird. So what I'm going to do is probably find it a week from now in some folder that I'm not expecting to find it in. But you see the trend with this graph, which was back in 2017, that Google is overtaking the amount of reviews compared to other sites. So obviously, if you're going to have a presence, right, on a website that has reviews on it, and Google is the number one search engine, and it's also the number one place for reviews, it's worth setting up your Google My Business listing. But besides that, a typical business gets actually a fair bit of views, over 1,000 views in a month. And 84% of those come from discovery, which I apparently spelled incorrectly, searches. So what a discovery search is, think about when you're online and you look for coffee shops near me or hotels in Oswego, New York, right? What happens is it suggests you businesses. You don't necessarily know the names of those businesses, but you know the category they're in, or you know where they're located, and that's how you search for them. So you sort of discover them. So that's where the discovery searches come from. And a typical business gets 59 actions from their Google My Business listing every month. So the actions that Google My Business measures is clicks to a website, phone calls, because you can click the little, phone number and you can actually call, and requests for directions. So like if they went to Google Maps to get directions to your business. So those are the three things that it measures. And so the average business has 59 actions every single month. So I just want to give you, like I said, this is completely free. And what's going to happen is, to verify that you own the business, what Google is going to do is they're going to send you, after you go through this process, they're going to send you a postcard to your business address with a code on it. And what you'll do when you get that code, it comes in the mail. It's actually usually pretty quick. Most of my clients get it in under a week. It'll have a 5 or 6 digit code on it. You'll log in, you'll put in the code, and that will verify that you own the listing. They figure if you can check the mail at the business, then you probably at least have something to do with the business. So don't worry about renegade people claiming your listing. So basically, how this looks is, you've seen kind of a business listing like this before, right? There's, the name of the business. If there's some reviews, it'll have a star rating. And if there isn't, it won't say anything. And then there's, some information like hours and address and that kind of thing. So what you want to do is fill this out as completely as possible. And what you're going to do is go to google.com/mybusiness, or google.com/business also works. And you're going to get to this screen. Now, what you're probably going to need to do is set up a free Gmail account, because they're asking you to log in with Google. You might as well just make a free Gmail account, even if it's something you're not planning on using. If you're not planning on emailing someone with it, you can just set up one of these accounts. And what's nice about having a Google account set up is you can use it for other Google services that you might want to use for your business going forward. So it's worth just, it's a free email that you can set up and use. And typically when I get a new client, I'll set them up with some kind of Gmail account, so that when I'm setting up services for them, I'm setting it up under them, but that they don't have to keep forwarding emails to me all the time from their email address. So like I said, you're going to make a Google account and you're going to sign in. And once you sign in, you're going to get to a screen that has your business in it, or you're going to get to a screen that has all of your businesses in it. And it's going to ask you to set up a business, and you just go through the steps. So yeah, I'm just going to sign in. Oh yeah, let's do that. You guys can see. Now, obviously I don't own all these businesses, right? There's a lot of businesses back here. I don't own all these businesses, but what happens is businesses can give me the ability to go in and make edits. So I'm added as a user on these businesses. So these are and as you see, there's a big blue button that says add a business, and you can put add a single business. And what it's going to do is it's going to have you go through a series of steps. It's going to search and see if it's already somewhere on the internet, like in Google. So you're going to type in your business name, and you're going to follow this process. And at the end of this, that's when it's going to say, we're going to send you a code, right? So that's when you'll verify your listing later on. But you can still, so if you're watching this today and you're not verified, but you're kind of keen to set this up because it's a holiday and you just feel motivated, you can go ahead and set everything up. And once you verify, those changes will take effect. So it'll kind of almost save them in draft form, and you'll be able to do that. Now, the other thing that you'll want to do, and we're going to use the I promised a makeover. So that's what we're going to do. So this is the Watertown Oswego SBDC's Google My Business listing. And what we're going to want to do, like I said, so we go to Google My Business, we set up, a free Gmail account if we don't have one. If we have a Gmail account, we use that to claim the business. And once we do that, we fill out the business profile as completely as possible, including what are called attributes. Now, attributes I find are a little bit of an unsung hero of the Google My Business listing, because they're not something you normally think about. But if we scroll down, you'll see there's some attributes here: accessibility, amenities, health and safety, and all of that. And what's really interesting to me is I cannot, for the life of me, find a complete listing of all of the attributes anywhere on Google. But I have found one on this random website, and I made a short link to this so that you don't have to figure out. It's kind of long otherwise. So if you go to here, you'll see this exact same page I'm showing you. So Google attributes, there's a lot of them, and I just want to give you an idea of how many there are. So we have healthcare specific, so they have them divided by sort of industry here. So these are curbside pickup, no contact delivery. So if we scroll down and you count these, there's over 200 attributes that could possibly apply to your business. Is it worth going through and adding the ones that apply to you? Yeah, because Google is specifically looking for these words. And so if someone is looking for, I don't know, blowouts near me, and you have a blowout attribute listed, then you're going to come up. So look, this thing keeps scrolling. It's ridiculous. So what you're going to want to do is add as many of these attributes to your listing as possible. so that your listing will come up in searches. So, and like I said, so we're going to fill this out as completely as possible. Now, there's a couple of other sections here I want to point out to you that besides adding the attributes, which I think are, like I said, really good because Google is specifically looking for those words and it's looking for those words in specific fields, is you have products and services. So obviously, products, you can add products from your website or products that you have for sale. And I'm going to click get started. And the thing is with all of these tools is that, they make it as easy as possible, which is good. And you might say, oh my God, Nicole, I have, 3,000 products. I don't want to put them all in here. But what you could do is maybe put some of your more popular products in here, or maybe you carry a specific line of, I don't know, maybe you carry Dickies outerwear or something like that. You could put it in Dickies outerwear. You can put in the price. The price is optional, actually. And you can show a range. So if you wanted to say Dickies outerwear, you could kind of put a price range in here. And you just fill this in, and then you can add a button like buy now, and people can literally click through to your website and buy things. Now, the amount of people who actually look at this and do click through is surprising. I know I certainly find it surprising. But if you don't have any products, they do have the same kind of thing for services as well. And what this does is it saves people from having to click through to your website. And because Google knows this is a service, it's going to index it even better. So yeah, like I said, it does take some time to fill this out. But the good news is once you do fill all of this out as completely as possible, you can actually import these settings into your Yahoo and Bing or your Bing business listing. And you can make it so that when you update Google, it automatically updates Bing. And I get that that's not a huge share of the market, but I mean, 1 or 2% of searches on Bing is still a fair bit of online searches, even if it's not the majority. So anyway, we want to fill out all these areas that are applicable. Now, in terms of I'm making over the SBDC, and look how many views they got. This is 30 days, you guys. So this is almost 4,000 views in 30 days. It came up in this many searches, and then there was activity, which I'm guessing is stats, but I'll go over that in a second. But what I want to do is I want to add some more information. It's tempting to just fill out the bare minimum. I totally get it. A lot of these fields are not required, but they did great here. They added service area, which is super important. That means people in these counties, if they're searching for business advice or something like that, since they service these areas, they can, be visible. Now, if you're the kind of person who say you work out of your house and you don't want people, say, showing up at that location, one of the things you can do when you're setting up your profile is say, one of the things that you can check off is called, I serve customers at their location. And what that will do is that will hide your address and allow you to specify a service area. So if you're a graphic designer and, you serve, Watertown, the greater Watertown area, you can say, Watertown, or this county in New York, and you can specify that you're a graphic designer. And even if you have an address, it won't show up. So what we want to do here is, I was looking at this earlier, we would definitely want to add some services for sure for the SBDC. And we also want to add a description for the SBDC as well, for it to come up. But the other thing I definitely wanted to make sure to add is photos. Now, you wouldn't think for a business listing people looked at photos. I know, again, I like to think that people don't necessarily always think like me, but and they clearly don't. But I pulled out, I know that my business listing has views. So I updated these 47 weeks ago, okay? So this is how many views: 574 views on this video, over 1,000 views on this photo, over 887 views on this photo. I mean, it's really, people like looking at photos. So what we want to do is add some photos so that those will come up in a photo search. Because, Google Images is, an area that you can definitely search. But I'm just looking, there was one thing I wanted to definitely point out. I hate it when I can't find something, which is the fact that there is one category that this is in, but we can put up to, I think, 3 or 5 total categories. So this is, oh, come on, hold on. And see, look, it's telling us that we need to complete our profile. So it really like wants us to, add a logo, add a description, and all of that. So fill it in as completely as possible. And wherever the stupid category is, which I'm completely blanking on, right? Oh, there it is. Haha. So right now this is one category, but we can add other categories as well. Now, I'll be the first one to say this. The Google business categories make no sense if you're a normal person, okay? They have very specific categories for some things and very limited categories in other things. Like I feel like there's like a category that's like silly string dealer or something very specific, and then they don't have this entire other category of things. So let's just type in business and see what comes up. Okay, so I would add maybe that the SBDC is a business center. And sometimes, it added it right away. Oh, it's under review. So sometimes you make a change and Google has to check out to make sure it seems legit. So if your things don't come up right away, it's not the end of the world. They will eventually come up. So yeah, we definitely want to, like I said, fill those out as completely as possible. And then the other thing besides, filling it out as completely as possible is trying to get some reviews. So Google, like I said at the beginning, is Google My Business is where most people leave reviews, and it has surpassed even the review specific websites like TripAdvisor and Yelp, because those have had some controversy about non-legitimate reviews and stuff like that. And Google has a bit of a better reputation that way. So we can typically see, oh, right, it was in the home. All these screens look kind of the same. There we go. So there's the review right here. So we have 2 reviews. And so what we want to do is maybe get some additional reviews here. I had a friend who worked for Google, and he was like, once you have 5 reviews, you start getting treated a little bit better. So I would say try to get 5 reviews, and you can have, you can email your customers who already have Gmail accounts, because then they don't have to create a whole new account to leave you a review, and just send them directly to this link. That way that they have it. So, and and I mentioned adding images. So to go over those things again, these are your steps. You can do them in whatever order. Well, probably do them in this order. Go to google.com My Business. And if you need to, set up a free Gmail account or log in with a Gmail account you already have and go through the steps of claiming your business. It might end in you waiting for a postcard, but you can still go on with these steps while you're waiting to get verified. Once you're at the end of that, you're going to go through your profile and you're going to upload photos. You're going to put in a description. You're going to pick multiple categories. You're going to specify as many things as you can, so that if someone is looking, you never know what someone's looking for. If they're seeing something, that they want, and it's a very small part of your business, but you still do it, that's okay. And if you need a complete list of attributes, go to this random blog post. I don't know why Google doesn't just have a list somewhere. If they do have a list somewhere and you find it, feel free to comment below and be smarter than me. But, and then finally, I would get 5 or more reviews and add some images in to make the profile pop a little bit. So that is Google My Business. I'm at 18 minutes and not 15. Sorry about that. But I think it's a really worthwhile use of your time to do this. Like I said, you can take this and you can import it into Bing. I think it's Bing local. I'm 90% sure that's true. And that way, when you update your Google business listing with new hours, or the fact that you're closed on a holiday, like maybe you updated it that you were closed today, people can still see that information. And actually, while we're hanging out here, I think I just want to show you guys what kind of insights you can get. And yeah, I'm going to share the insights. I don't think the SBDC would mind. We talked about this. So I want to show you guys what the insights look like on the Google My Business listing. So this is for 1 month. It keeps data for like 3 months, I think. Yeah, 1 quarter. That's as far back as it goes. So if you want to keep data for a long period of time, I don't know, just take some screenshots, or I don't know, pay for software that will do that. All the paid dashboard software, by the way, I haven't found one that's cheaper than $100 a month. That's just what they cost. I don't know. I'm a marketing agency, so I'm always looking for cheaper or more free solutions for people. But what I say is if you just want to keep this data long-term, just take a screenshot. So as you see, we have branded searches. So that means people were specifically looking for the SBDC. So they used SBDC Watertown or something somewhere in the search to come up. And as you see, it's a relatively small percentage compared to how else. These people were looking directly for the Watertown Oswego SBDC. So they were looking so this one might have been like they used SBDC or they used some combination of it. This one, they were specifically looking for the thing. And then this is discovery. So these are, maybe people were looking for business consultants in the Watertown area or something like that. And so this listing was suggested to them. So that's what this discovery means. Now we see views, and these are, so this is, views by the day. And remember, our average Google listing got 1,006 views. So this is how many times it showed up, 2,000. So the Watertown SBDC is already above average, but we already knew that, didn't we? So this is the total views on the listing over time. And then these are the customer actions that I was telling you about: the visiting the website, the request for directions, and the phone calls. So most people do see an increase in phone calls when they set this up, because when you look it up in Google, there's that cute little phone button and you can just click on it and ta-da, you're connecting with people. And we can see when people are likely to call. Yeah, and I guess there's not enough data for the times. And then, so it's saying like, hey, businesses like you, people are looking at photos, but you don't have any photos. So I think it wants us to upload some photos. I like to listen to Google when it tells me things. So anyway, this is the kind of data you can expect. And you can expect it even if you're like a small business. I have, a small co-working space in a town with 5,000 people in it. I have a small co-working space in a town of 12,000 people. It gets lots and lots of views. And I will say one more thing, just because it's sort of new, is that Google now has messaging built in. So you know how Facebook pages people can message you? They can do it in Google too if you turn it on. Now, I've read mixed reviews. Some people say that if you turn messaging on, that your business listing will be prioritized because it looks like you're responsive to customers. I've read other people say that it has no bearing on your business rank whatsoever. I will let you do with that information what you wish, but in case that you want to explore it or maybe turn it on, it's this messages thing right here. So the SBDC currently has it off, so I'm not going to turn it on. But if you want that little message button, the little message button to appear, there would be a little message button right here. If that was turned on for this, you can turn this on and you can respond to customers right within Google. I get it if you don't want to do that. I would pay good money for some dashboard that dumped all of my messages into one place so I could just look at them rather than having to check all of these places. But I guess that's the reality of running a business using the internet these days, is that rather than having these questions one-on-one or something like that, we're able to have them more efficiently, but they are across multiple websites. So the good with the bad, right? Now, I hope I've convinced you to set up the Google My Business listing. Like I said, it's not necessarily a ton of work. I get that it's one more thing to do, but I don't know, put on some TV show, pour a mug of your favorite beverage and just do it. Like, it's maybe an hour of your life. And the amount of views you're going to get from it, totally worth it, in my opinion. Oh. So we got a question. You have great audio. If you have time, what is your mic and headset setup? So my headset is super cheap, and actually it only works in one side. That's what happens when you buy discount equipment. But I normally have better headphones than this, but I like the sort of snug thing. I have a pretty good microphone. It's a Blue Yeti. It's I like it because it has multiple options. So if we were doing like a multi-directional, I can change the output of how it's collecting sound. But definitely you can even go cheaper. And I had this other little microphone it was next to me, but now it's not anymore. But a separate microphone to your webcam, even one that costs like $30, is infinitely better than the one that's built into your webcam. So I just have a super basic webcam that I got at the beginning of the pandemic for like $100. The camera's not very special, but the audio is better. And what I found is that I saw this really great TikTok. I'll see if I could find it for next time. Basically, people can tolerate a video that's like not ideal, Like right now I had my light set up and then the sun came out right next to me. And I should have pulled down the shade before I started, but alas, people will tolerate a kind of lower level video if they have good audio. So I say it's good to invest in a separate microphone because let's face it, my microphone otherwise would be much further from me, right? And it would be a lower quality because it would be built into my webcam. So I recommend a separate microphone when you're doing that. And the headphones just cut down. If there was a second person here, it would cut down on the amount of feedback that we were getting because it wouldn't be picking up all of the sound around me. So that's my setup. Oh, no problem. Thanks for asking. I am not a professional audio person. I just find that when the audio is better, and if there was a way for me to switch the microphone, I would show you, but you can definitely hear the difference between the webcam mic and even a separate mic, even one that's, I think I got this on eBay, used for like $100. But there's other similar microphones out there. I wouldn't necessarily even say this is the best one, but it's just the one that I was familiar with. So I keep one. It's kind of a pain to haul around, but I feel like I've got like a little trophy everywhere I go. But I have a smaller one. It's really cute. I was hoping it was next to me. It's like a little circle. It's a Shure microphone, and it was like $50 or something. And that one's a lot more portable. It's not quite as good, but it's still pretty good. So yeah, so you can be like the New York Small Business Development Center, and you can totally ask a question like that. So feel free to ask other questions. I have some previously submitted questions, though, that we can handle right now, and I will try to handle them as well as I can without having a guest star, but, we do what we can. So this is a question I get a lot, and sometimes I'm not sure how qualified I am to answer it. I'm trying to get one of my friends to come on as a guest, and they do like, they're the kind of business that does kind of the IT support for businesses, the security cameras and stuff like that. But people always ask me about point of sale systems. They want to sell online and in person, and they say, like, what's the right POS for me? And what happens when you Google point of sale, you will get so many Google ads. You will get like infinite Google ads because obviously if you're searching for a point of sale, that means you're ready to buy something. And so all these companies want to get in front of you. So what I recommend doing is whatever point of sale you're currently using physically in your business, see what its online capabilities are like. A lot of these softwares during the pandemic suddenly added this online component very quickly so that their businesses could not only sell in real life, but also sell online. So if you're already using something, check what the web capabilities are for that thing. I would say that's the easiest thing for you to do. You don't have to change systems. It might be a simple matter of toggling a switch or, changing the plan that you're currently paying for by a little bit of money. So I would say that's the first step. The second step I would say is to ask yourself what percentage you expect to sell online versus what percentage of stuff you expect to sell in real life, and choose accordingly. So if you think that you're going to do 90% of your business online, you want to prioritize a good POS that works well online and maybe does have an in-person component, but you might be able to finagle that with a Square Reader or something like that. Again, I'm not an expert on this. What I do want you to look at is, a lot of these things have free trials. And since you're the one that's going to be using it every day, it's really important that you like the setup, whatever it is. So like I said, if you're kind of considering Shopify versus Toast versus something else, schedule a demo call with the sales person. They can answer your questions and then, try it out. And I get it because I hate evaluating software. I find software I like and I stick with it unless there's a problem because it's such a pain to change everything. But since this is how your business makes money, it's worth you spending time figuring that out, having some kind of online point of sale system that also works offline. A lot of people during the pandemic just ended up using Square, which is, it started off as a thing that we plugged into the headphone jack of our phone and swiped payments, but it also has built some pretty robust solutions. I'm not saying I would pick it in every scenario, but sometimes people need to start with something. And they're the only one I can think of that has a free plan. So you could try them for free. Now, free is a little misleading, right? Because they're going to take a percentage of income, right? They got to take the credit card processing plus a little bit to kind of pay for their services. But, nothing's free. You're paying for it one way or the other. So what you want to do is do some math, whatever you pick, you narrow it down, you pick an interface you like, and then do math for how much in fees you'd pay in a slow month versus a busy month. So if in the summer you're slamming busy and you're doing a lot of transactions and it's taking like 10% or something versus this other company that takes a $50 a month flat fee or something, clearly your math might work out differently. You can work with the folks at the SBDC to help you do the math, but what you want to do is at least narrow down what you're considering. So like I said, if you already have a POS system, check and ask them what their online capabilities are. If you don't have a POS system, like I said, look at what's being used in your industry. So point of sale for, point of sale for retail store or point of sale for cafe, and just get a list of the players, narrow down to the 2 or 3 you like the most, schedule demo calls and trials with them, figure out which one you like to do best. Do some math and figure out what you're paying for a busy month versus a slow month in terms of fees and all that. There might be one that comes ahead of a clear winner with the math. And if you're completely stuck and don't know what to do at all, just like go to squareup.com and just do a free one. Just start with something. And if you want to move it later, it's already in a system and you can export it. So once something is in a database, you can export a database and move it into another database. I'm not saying it's going to be seamless, but I'm saying the most work you're going to do is inputting all of that stuff. So yeah. And clearly, if you're going to be mostly online, pick a system that works really well online. Maybe it does things like send abandoned cart emails or, has really great email marketing templates or something. I've had people say they really like Shopify for online stuff. I'm sort of mixed on Shopify. I think it's kind of expensive, but if you are doing just online stuff and you want something that, is built for that, that might be a good solution too. I'm not endorsing any particular software. I'm just saying the software I've had experience with. There's plenty out there. Just because I haven't heard of the one you're thinking of using doesn't mean the one you're thinking of using isn't good. Another question that we got, and I get a lot, is, should my business have a Facebook page or a Facebook group? So you probably have figured out that Facebook pages, Facebook for a while was giving groups a lot more engagement than pages. So a lot of people were like, oh, what if I switch to a Facebook group? The thing with a group is that, and you probably noticed this if you're in a Facebook group, is that all of the members of the group are sort of contributing to the information feed that's on that particular page. So to me, a group is kind of participatory. So if you have a brand that, I don't know, you sell yoga supplies and you have a page for people who love yoga and they're posting about different yoga stuff and you're getting valuable customer information from all the interaction, then I think it's worthwhile for you to have a group. But you're not like really, you might occasionally mention that you sell yoga stuff to this group, but you're not constantly selling on it. It's mostly, like I said, where all the members are sort of egalitarian, and when people post stuff, it ends up in the feed, right? A Facebook page is much more like, I'm the business, and when I post something, it goes in the feed, and then people can comment on it. That's how they can participate. But you're kind of leading that conversation. So depending on the approach you want to take, I don't think one is necessarily worse than the other. You can take out ads to Facebook groups and pages. You can set up marketing chatbots with Facebook groups and pages. So a lot of the things that you could only do on pages, you can also sort of now do in groups for the most part. So if somebody was like, I really want to set up a group instead of a page because X, that would totally be fine. I don't have a strong opinion on it. The thing that makes a group different than a page, and I should have checked, I'll try to check this quickly, but there's something called a Facebook remarketing pixel. And what you can do is put that on your website and you can take out ads to people who visit your website. And you typically set up the pixel in as part of that's attached to a page, but I'm doing a quick search in the side here and see if pixel will work in a group. Expanding group insights with the Facebook ads pixel. Okay, it looks like it does. So like I said, what Facebook did is they sort of a few years ago made groups a little bit more visible, and then businesses moved all their stuff to groups, and then they were like, well, we might as well give groups access to the same things that businesses have. And like I said, for the most part, they're very similar. But the intention to me is what's important. Do you want people to kind of get together and talk about a topic in a sort of egalitarian way, or do you want to be the one leading the conversation? If you want it more egalitarian and discussion oriented, you want to set up a group. If you want it to be more of a marketing channel and you're controlling the conversation in terms of letting people comment on what you post, I think you should set up a page. I don't think any of them is terrible. Just don't set it up like a person. Let's see. Okay. Brand new business. What are some ways I can start being visible online? So I'm guessing the implied thing here is that this, if you're a new business, you probably just spent a lot of money setting up your business, and you probably don't have a lot of extra money in the marketing budget. And that's fine. I'm a bootstrapper myself. I can respect it. I say one of the things you can do, if you've watched today, set up the Google My Business listing. It's totally worth the amount of people yelling at you phone calls that you're going to get to optimize your listing. Just ignore them. I get them too. So they clearly are kind of blowing smoke at us here. So I would say make a listing, not just on Google, but maybe anywhere a listing would take you. So for example, I think I mentioned I have a co-working space. And so I was in a really boring meeting one time. When you live in a small town and you go to a meeting thinking it's about something, and within 10 minutes, you realize that it isn't the meeting you thought it was, but then you can't get up and leave because then you're rude. Maybe that's just a me thing. So what I did is I sat there and I added my co-working space to every single co-working directory I could find on the internet. And we still get leads from it. Like 6 years later, we're still getting leads from some of these things that I set up 6 years ago. So your industry probably has different directories you can be in too. If you're a hotel or a restaurant, you can be on TripAdvisor, you can be in Yelp. Again, just because they're not the market share does not mean that nobody's on these sites. It just means less people are there. So I would say take a free listing wherever you can get it, because number one, you're going to be more visible. And number two, there's always a place to put a link back to your website. So you want to take all those free links that you can. Number two is it's nice to also start posting somewhere about your business. Now, notice I'm not saying social media. I don't think social media is for everybody. I get it. I get why you wouldn't like some social media. So there might be, though, a website that speaks to you. So for example, one of my friends started 3D printing this very specific computer part. And he was in a Reddit group about these computers, and he posted the link to his store, and he got a ton of sales. And he's still getting sales. It's been online for almost 3 months. He's still getting sales every single week from that. Not that one posting, but within a couple of postings on a very specific forum on a very specific website. And I guess what I'm saying is find a place where people are talking about the thing that you also like talking about that you're selling. And yeah, you're not going to sell to them the whole time, but you're going to embed yourself in that community a little bit. You're going to post information. You're going to be a part of things. Again, I'm just assuming you have more time than money, because with marketing, you got to sometimes you can shortcut the spending time by spending a little bit more money. And sometimes, you can't. So I'm assuming, like I said, that you've got time to do some of this stuff. I understand that that's hard. And then I would also set up an email or a texting list right off. So even if you're opening a brick and mortar store, stick, a booklet, where you're collecting people's email addresses, or if maybe you're more of a pizza parlor kind of place and, you're not going to necessarily email people, but you might text them when you have a lunch special or something like that. Either way, collect some way that you can be contacting people, and also put that on your website, whether you're collecting a cell phone number or whether you're collecting an email address, and have it all come into a system and start communicating with those people regularly. You might start off with like 20 people, But the thing is, if those 20 people are all interested in buying something from you, and every time you send out that you have a new special or that you are offering this service or whatever, you get a couple of those people who buy it, then it's a worthwhile use of your time. I don't want you to feel like you have to waste a lot of your time trying to do everything, because you really don't. Not only do you not have to, but it's not going to be effective even if you were doing everything. As a marketing company, I have to try to do everything, but I definitely have my favorites, and there's definitely places where I get my customers. So I concentrate more of my efforts on those and kind of de-emphasize the other things I could be doing. So just know that mostly people just, it's not that they don't want to buy from you, it's that they don't know you necessarily exist. And a big part of something that I feel like I had to get over when I was starting a business was feeling like I was having the same conversation over and over and over again. The great thing about the internet is you can post something like this video or, a blog article or something like that and have multiple people see it. So it's saving you from having each conversation individually, but you still have to have the conversation pretty repetitively. So those are some of the ways I would start to make myself more visible online. And, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I know it's hard. Like I said, you want to participate in a community, and I'm not saying that you have to be a television star or anything like that, because you definitely don't. But I think just being willing to put yourself out there and talking about your business is really helpful. And it doesn't have to be on Facebook or YouTube or, but it can be a specific place where people are talking about the product or service, or those people are gathering. There's websites for everything. And it's just a matter of finding your people. And that might be a bit of trial and error, but as you find people who resonate, collect their contact information and communicate with them. I would say that's a pretty good use of your time as well. And looking for the other questions. I'm not sure if anybody has any other questions. Those are all the questions I had loaded in here. If you're watching this, just as a reminder, if you have a question about marketing that you've always wanted to ask a marketing person, but maybe like you don't want to book a whole session for it, you can totally ask it here. This is like a place that you can ask questions. Even if I said something you're like, I don't even know what that is, you can totally ask it. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and I truly believe that. You can leave a comment wherever you're watching this video, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, or if you want, you can email the SBDC with a Marketing Monday subject line, and they will see it. We'll probably answer it if it comes over email next week. So just if you don't see your question answered this week, but you emailed it in, 5 minutes ago, just know that, we're committed. We're doing these through the end of the year. So you can ask questions and just tune in next time and you'll get your answer. And if you're not able to watch this live, this is available as a recorded broadcast wherever you're watching this. So this will be available on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can rewatch it later. Or if you think there's a friend who runs a business who definitely should do this Google My Business thing, feel free to tag them in the comments or something like that so they see the video. Or you can share the link with them in a Facebook message or something like that. So don't be shy. We're here to help people. I know as the SBDC, they're a great group of people. They're always doing new programs and things like that. So that's all we got for today. So thanks so much for attending. We really appreciate, people coming in. If you are watching this broadcast and feeling a little overwhelmed with the online stuff, make an appointment with an SBDC counselor. They're free, they're smart, they're accessible, and you can make an appointment on their website, or you can email them the same address. You don't have to put Marketing Monday in the subject line. You can just say, hey, I want to talk to somebody, and be able to do that. So again, thanks so much for watching. My name is Nicole. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week.